Drivers are hoping for today. Well, the 2024 season has already notched up a couple rounds. We're now truly into the new year, and some could use a reset. Will Brands Hatch offer that up? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. British fans probably know this place inside and out, but for the others, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Brands Hatch. When popular British racing circuits get listed, this track just to the southeast of London often finds itself near the top. The extensive history of the venue has meant that many famous names in racing have ran laps here. But the stats make it sound deceptively simple, with the Grand Prix and Indy course having 9 and 6 turns respectively. Laps might be short, but they're also fast, and the corners are often a challenge to get right. As you'd expect, that means passing is quite difficult, with most drivers leaning towards sending one up the inside at Druids. You might occasionally see overtakes into the first corner, Paddock Hill Bend, but the blind apex and gigantic drop in elevation make that an errand for only the brave. Many of the corner names pay tribute to famous British drivers from the past decades, such as Hill, Surtees, Sterling, and Clark. In fact, the fame extends beyond the drivers, but to the cars as well, with this place seeing everything from Formula One to Formula Ford, touring cars, GT cars, motorcycles, and even rallycross. It's a gorgeously scenic venue where lush trees envelop the back half of the course, while the front half is mostly encapsulated inside a natural amphitheater. This makes it extremely popular with race fans who can see a majority of the circuit from many seating positions. With a great location near a major metropolitan hub, a spectator-friendly layout, and an experience that challenges drivers, you can see why this place remains abuzz with racing to this day. Well, Joey, this is a track that has been around for quite a while at this stage and has built up an incredible history.
It is a very fun racetrack to drive, and we're going to see how well it races with these Lotus 79s. Brands Hatch circuit, 9 turns, 2.3 miles in length, and I kind of refer to it as a roller coaster ride. Even turn 1, Paddock Hill Bend, it is completely blind at apex and exit. Probably one of the most challenging corners in all of motorsports, and it is turn 1 right here. And thankfully, it leads into a good passing opportunity because people fly off the track all the time on exit. And going into Druids, turn number 2, one of the great passing opportunities here. But then, the second half of the track, I'm really pointing towards turns 5, 6, and 7. That's Hawthorne Bend, Westfield Bend, Sheens, all the way to Sterling's there. More of a roller coaster ride, up and down elevation, also the fastest part of the racetrack. And then the very final turn, Clark Curve down there, turn 9, has a tricky little crest at apex. You have to be really careful how you approach it.
It might look simple on the surface, but it is definitely not once you get down on the track itself. The championship, as I mentioned, we've had a couple races already this season. So the F1 standings actually shows Kimmo Viekainen on top. Zamaloa has been chasing him, but he's due for a win at some stage. Jacob Reed is also one of those that we're still looking to see top the steps this season. Juho Raina has managed to do it, but he sits down in 4th. Had a bit of a bad race last time out in Japan. And then Hugh Haycox finds himself up in 5th position. We'll see if he can be just as good here in the 79s as he is over in the Nissan GTPs over in IMSA Vintage. But definitely a different looking F1 standings to what we're used to. What about the F2s?
Right now, Timothy Vanderburge is leading the way, and he's leading it by 14 points. Something else that you don't see, he only has 2 of the 3 races counted. So great finishes for Timothy Vanderburge so far. Thomas Silbernagel giving chase, Chris Roberts, Robert Simpkins, Miguel Moreland, all inside the top 5, and Arnold Cook only a single point away from Miguel Moreland, but still very, very early days. Keith Herner, Corey Ensing, Nicholas Acosta, Sebastian Stark, very, very familiar names for this series.
And the format's going to be familiar to our fans because it is round 4, 12, 30 laps for this one. That's a few more than we typically get since these races are just a little over 30 minutes typically. But the laps here go by quickly. They have an open setup. I'm pretty sure we're going to see drivers try to crank some wing in around this track, but no spare car, considering this is such an old school course. There's lots of places where you can chuck it into the barriers. So if you wreck it, then unfortunately your day is likely to be over. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents and a DQ at 25. Not expecting that to be as much of an issue since there's not much in the way of paved runoff, if any at all, here at this track. And the last of qualifying, I think, is just about wrapping up. I see Jack David Spickett finishing his second lap, 1:12 flat. Oof, and he needed that. He jumped up from, I think, 18th to 3rd on that second lap. So he had a huge clutch moment there at the very end.
Can't say that I'm too surprised, especially given that these tires, usually the second lap is the fastest lap as we're finally getting these pictures. 30 seconds left here in qualifying. Watch the number 12 car. This is Daniel Gallus stream across the start-finish line. Does not put in a lap time, and with the time remaining, he's going to be starting from the back.
Yep, a couple of drivers did not manage to set a time. Jason Clapper, Daniel Gallus, Alvarez, Sam Ryman, Miguel Moreland look like they're going to be trying to maybe avoid some of the wrecks at the start. It's a nice little spin from Gallus. His qualifying's over, so at this point, he's just out there practicing and getting some more in. So hopefully he figured out what not to do in that moment. But it looks like our grid is indeed set at this stage. So why don't we go through our starting order for today's race. Juho Raina has put it on the pole with Kimmo Viekainen starting in second. Jack David Spickett, second lap, really boosted him up. He'll start from third. Antti Lepisto, he's back once again, starting from P4. Hugh Haycox will start in fifth, followed by Oye Zamaloa in the sixth position. Gernot Frische managing seventh today. Peter Konieczny will be P8. Jorge Nieva starting in ninth, and Kostas Zafiris in P10.
Then we have Barry West in the number 10 car, starting in 11th, sharing row number 6 with Ian Haycox. Shady Ahmad in 13th, Philip Castellas in 14th, Lucas Lodato starting 15th alongside Daniel Perez Hoya in 16th, Seamus Power 17th, Chris Roberts 18th, Cam Porter in 19th, and Jason Clapper in 20th.
Daniel Gallus, as we mentioned, didn't set a time. He's down in 21st. Alvarez will start 22nd. Sam Ryman 23rd, and Moreland in 24th. Last of the cars now gridding up here today. And it's somewhat cool conditions out there, only 74 Fahrenheit, and it is later in the evening, so probably not going to be getting any warmer. You can see it is somewhat dark out with the sun going down, but like we said, short race, so shouldn't see it get too dark out there since these obviously don't have headlights. Just waiting for the last of them to grid up. Even JDS seems a bit surprised at his qualifying pace, said he hasn't been racing here since Spa of last season. So it's been a minute since he has taken to the track, and with the number 15 on his car, he certainly has a chance to gain some iRating. Looks like they're ready to go as the lights now come up. And the green flag is out. It's not a good start for Juho Raina. He's already got Viekainen coming up alongside him down in the first corner, but Kimmo's going to have to go around the outside, which is difficult to do. But he manages to keep the speed up. Another right-hander into Druids as they fly into the second corner, and he has to finally slot in behind.
He blocks the over-under. Crucially, Juho Raina leads the field downhill for the first time. Kimmo Viekainen right underneath that rear wing. And that qualifying effort from Jack David Spickett has paid off. He is the third car in train. Antti Lepisto in fourth. Hugh Haycox in fifth. I've got my eye on that yellow car in fifth place. Last week, he had an up-and-down day. Let's see what kind of performance starting from the front today.
Absolutely, and now they come into Haycox. This is the back half of the circuit, the roller coaster as Joey described it. And you can really see here as we check in with Ian Haycock's a little farther down. Ian, the father of Hugh, he's battling with Barry West in front of him.
This really is that roller coaster section, up and down over these fast turns. The fastest of the sections, turn 8 through that heavily banked corner, and then turn 9, the final turn here, Clark curve. There's that little bit of crest there. It throws the drivers a loop.
And look at the exit that JDS got. Spickett has a chance to try and attack Viakainen. He gets close to him, but not close enough once they hit Paddock Hill Bend on the second lap here. Another good exit for him, coming off of turn 1, but still, it's too short of a run for him up into Druids. He's definitely putting the pressure on, though.
I know that it's only the second lap here, but every single time these low-riding cars go over that exit curve at turn 1, it always scares me because they do have a habit of kind of bottoming out and spinning, but it seems like they've got the ride heights okay today.
Yeah, it could cause problems if someone finds himself hitting a bump wrong, so we'll keep an eye on that exit. Zamaloa currently in 6th position. He's chasing on Hugh Haycox as they fly through Hawthorne, but we're checking back in on Cam Porter now. He's got, looks like Alvarez really trying to see if he can do something, but it's not often as he passes into Hawthorne.
The fastest of the corners here. You don't have much of the brake pedal to touch before going in there, and that's why you don't see those passing opportunities. And I think Antonio Alvarez got big eyes because Jason Clapper's made his way around Cam Porter, so I think he was getting hungry, maybe sensing some blood in the water, but Cam's back on it.
A little bit of a dip off into the grass there. I think that was from Gallus there coming off the corner as we watch Alvarez around Clark Corner and onto the Brabham Straight, but not quite a good enough run, it appears, as Cam Porter is able to pull himself away. But very single file here in the early stages. Not a shock with how narrow this track is.
This is a battle for what is the 15th, 14th place. Lucas Lodato, well, Seamus Power side by side. Seamus now giving chase to Lucas. He's going to try to do an over-under move coming up into the Surtees corner. Not going to be able... Oh, Seamus Power way deep on the brakes. Takes it side by side. Now it's going to be a drag race. Who puts the power down on the exit? Looks like Seamus is going to clear him.
That was ambitious, but I don't think it's over quite yet. Coming back on him, Lodato has a good opportunity. And into Hawthorne, they're going to carry on side by side, hanging tight round the outside. Good run from Seamus Power. It still carries on for a third corner. Finally, he gets the run. Seamus completes the pass.
And look at how much it stacked everybody up behind. Lucas Lodato now has to deal with Philippe Castellas, Shady Ahmad, Chris Roberts, even include Jason Clapper, Cam Porter, Antonio Alvarez. They're all hunting the mirror.
Castellas slowing down. He cut the corner there coming through Sheen, so he allows Ahmad to go on by, and they're going to get back to single file finally there. As soon as I say it's very single file, we had quite the battle down to the inside of Castellas. Here comes Jason Clapper now looking for yet another spot. He's going to be able to at least take the apex away, but the job's not done.
Well, he doesn't get the exit, but a big lunge on the brakes, a little bit of a lockup. Defense from Castellas in that black car. Jason Clapper's going to have to slip back in line, headed down towards turn 3 here. See what kind of exit he gets. A lot of the drivers, they use that AstroTurf runoff. They're going way out over the curb, but that's okay. There's still plenty of grip.
Clapper up 2, Castellas down 3, unfortunately. We got a little bit of a replay of the start, and poor Sam Ryman, who had a very good start on the previous race of today, unfortunately was not able to repeat that as he spins out.
Just kind of off into the gravel. I think he was trying to avoid anything there in Druids as we get another car turned around. I believe that might have been Peter Konechny and Jorge Nieva having an issue.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I think Peter was into the wall and the car does not look in good shape. We don't see it on. There it is right there. He's come to a halt. He has to take a tow, and that might be our first retirement of the day. So that was out of Sheen. That is a corner that I've seen cause many a big wreck. Clapper, though, made it through, and now he's on the back of Shady Ahmad, who does not defend deep down into the first corner. That's another position for the 9.
The last to first challenger, Jason Clapper, is at it again. He's got Lucas Lodato now right in front of him. As they're still side by side right behind him. That was Castellas and Ahmad still arguing over 16th.
Yeah, and he's going to get that spot. Oh, a bad run there for Ahmad, but he cuts across the track very late. Alvarez has to lift because of that. The battle keeps going up through Surtees' corner, and it looks like finally Castellas is going to be able to come away the victor on that one, although another little look from Alvarez. In fact, more than a look. He's going to be able to get alongside Shady Ahmad, but he'll deny him once again.
I love the scraps further back in the pack. It just seems like everybody wants every single piece of racetrack, and they're saying, no, it's mine, I want this corner. It's rather fun to watch.
And I mean, I love that even though it is down for the further spots, they're still fighting tooth and nail. It counts for everything. These drivers just simply love to race, Clapper included, on the inside of Lodato, but Lucas will deny him. Jason making great inroads at a track like this.
I think that we're a little bit spoiled getting to watch all of the high strength of field races, and Jason Clapper is always one of these drivers that's going to go up and through, and I believe we've got a GSRC replay of an incident that happened not too long ago. Let's see if this was the Konechny incident. Yes, Jorge Nieva is basically going to be collected in here. There's going to be a car spun right in front of him, and he's got nowhere to go here, Joe.
All the trees and foliage here obviously make it a very beautiful track, but unfortunately covered our view from the chopper there, but you can see the results. He'll get it going. He is still in 12th. Jorge, we're used to seeing a very successful over in the 49s.
Yeah, and I was watching him in qualifying. I honestly was a little surprised to see him down there kind of in the 8th to 10th place, but just a little bit of contact early, unfortunately, as we still are watching Seamus Power here give chase to Mr. Jorge Nieva.
Seamus has had a phenomenal start to this race, up 4 positions from the beginning, and looks like he might have something, especially if this car is damaged since he had that hit. And yeah, oh my goodness, he looks slow down the main straight as that is going to be Seamus Power taking the inside. Jorge does not defend it.
Sometimes you know when you win them and you know when it's not your day, and I'm actually looking at the front end of Nieva's car. I definitely see a lot of damage on the front left of it, so I'm not surprised as we jump back here. Lucas Lodato still getting plenty of pressure, giving chase to Jason Clapper, hasn't let go of him yet.
And Lucas, a typical Cincinnatian, we love to let people know where we're from, so he's got it all over his car. And he has fallen down now back to where he began this race. Castellas trying to see if he can chase them. I love this. The name has Philippe, which makes me think French, and, well, that's where he hails from. Gottschalk, though, sounds German. Then Castellas sounds Spanish, so he's got all of the main part of Europe represented here.
I think that maybe family dinner would be wonderful. Think about all of those different foods on the table.
Oh, that'd be a wonderful dinner. I'd love to sit in on that. Sam Ryman, in the meantime, hey, he made up for that spin. He's already up to 21st. He's challenging Cam Porter.
And one thing to say about Sam Ryman is that he doesn't take the risks on the racetrack. I mean, we saw that from the replay. Unfortunately, it kind of ended in a half spin, but since he's back on the racetrack, taking advantage of others' misfortune and just climbing his way through.
Yep, sometimes it's about just minimizing those mistakes, so he's trying to come back from his early one and is still keeping Cam Porter honest here on lap 8. Still early in this race, though. We have quite a ways to go on this one, and leading it is currently Juho Raina, who started this from the pole over Kimmo Viekainen. And it seems that ever since that early challenge from Kimmo, there hasn't been much to worry Juho.
No, but I'm looking at timing and scoring, and really first through 6th is all in a line. So if Juho Raina makes a single mistake, it's only, what, I'm seeing about 2.5 seconds between himself and Oye Zamaloa back in 6th place. So you got to keep it on the sticky stuff, and you got to keep moving.
The damaged car of Jorge Nieva is a bit slow on the back half of the course, too. And again, he does not fight it. He's limping this thing around to the finish, it looks like. Wonder if at some point he'll take it in to try and take some repairs just to find a bit of speed. But that moves Clapper now up to 13th. Now, officially, our hardest charger at 7 gained.
Yeah, but you were just talking about the car right in front of him, Seamus Power having an excellent race. Well, that's the next car that Jason Clapper is going to have to pass. So I have a feeling from here on out, it's going to get a little bit more difficult.
Absolutely, and Seamus is probably not going to let him have this one easily. He'll fight him for it, and he's not got too much to make up for it. About a little less than 2 seconds to catch up to that Valvoline liveried car. Hugh Haycox, in the meantime, is among those top 6 you were talking about, and he's caught up to Lapisto, and we know Lapisto is no slouch, so this is impressive that he's managed to get right up to the gearbox.
And remember Hugh Haycock's last week at Fuji. He had a rather up and down day, started way in the back, climbed up twice, but had several incidents. Today he had a decent qualifying effort, currently giving chase to 4th place position around turn number 9, right in the tire tracks of Lapisto. But I think Brands Hatch is just kind of rearing its head. I thought there was going to be more passing today, but with the downforce levels, it just seems like you got to force the mistake out of your competitor.
Yeah, even, as he just about makes a big mistake right there with 2 wheels in the gravel. Even though they have the ground effects on this car, there is a lot of aero wake that we've seen them experience, and it can be tough when it's a lot of fast corners. With a track like this, there's another mistake we didn't see. We went over to Costellas, but Haycock's had a big moment just now, and he's under threat as he tries to fend off Zamaloa, and he is going to do so successfully. We might need a replay of that because it was a major save by Hugh coming down through Graham Hill Bend.
I caught that too. Turn number 3 here on lap 10. It was a massive moment of a power slide, but thankfully Hugh Haycock was able to hang on to it. I got to worry about the rear tires though, because if you do that too much, Oye is going to be right on the bumper.
Yeah, and surely he is going to try and see if he can get by. We've got it sounds like a replay of that incident. Watch this. This is huge. These cars do not like to get sideways, even though you'll see it pretty often. And I think maybe the curb just did it.
I mean, the curb, a happy right foot. Either way, it looked super cool.
It was a fantastic catch. And appropriately, he's got that Camel branding. He comes over from the IMSA Vintage Series, formerly the Camel Series, with multiple championships on the Nissan, a very similar car, relying on ground effects like this Lotus. Back to Shady Ahmad here. He is in 17th and right on top of Costellas, who's going to go to the inside down the Brabham Straight. And it looks like into Paddock Hill Bend, he'll at least be able to keep the position for now, a little bit off the apex, and he goes a bit wide.
We saw him twitch on exit there. As we get Antonio Alvarez also joining this battle. Looks like about 4 cars here. Lucas Lodato, Shady Ahmad, Antonio Alvarez, also Costellas knocked in there. Also, they're closing that gap to Jorge Nieva. We're going to get a quick GSRC replay.
Let's see what we're going to be looking at here. There's been plenty of action out on this track. Cam Porter, what's happened to him? I hope he hasn't had another off here. As, he spins it coming off, and yeah, it is so tough. I imagine the car goes from no grip to suddenly all the grip off that corner.
Looking like Dukes of Hazzard, though, with the 360. And to talk about turn 1, it does everything that you don't want a corner to do. You can't see it. All of a sudden, the track falls away from you. And then at the very end, it compresses up. It's just, it's impossible to drive perfect.
Well, them Porter boys are at it again, and he is carrying on, but now behind Sam Ryman in 21st. Jason Clapper, in the meantime, he's caught Seamus Power. So what happens when an immovable object meets an impenetrable force?
I'm really impressed with Jason Clapper's lap times. 113s. You got to go all the way up inside the top 5 to find other racers that are doing that. Nothing to take away from Seamus Power, 114.1 from the number 8 car last time around, but Jason Clapper has got some speed today.
He really does. I mean, his pace is looking like he could get up into the top 10 here if he can manage to get by this Valvoline car. I do love this that is he going to go to the inside in a Hawthorne and then rethinks it? Thankfully, I don't think that would have worked very well, but we've got 2 classic IndyCar liveries here.
Yeah, and to talk about that move, it is, you're right, the 7-Eleven and the Marlboro livery, it is very, very classic IndyCar, almost like we're watching a square racetrack around here. But I like what Jason Clapper did because he showed the nose, but he didn't intend on making the move. All he was trying to do was get in the head of his competitor.
Up through Clark Curve now and back onto the main straight once again. He gets himself a little bit more clear of Jason Clapper. Maybe he's sizing him up once again, just backing off to try and figure out how he wants to approach this and get an overtake. Ooh, Power didn't feel safe on that one. You could see him. Oh, no, it wasn't a defense. That was a car off. That's Daniel Gallus, who I think is a lap down. And something's going on with him. So we'll check and see if we can find out why that car is limping around in the gravel.
Yeah, saw that too on the exit of turn 1 there. Thankfully, it didn't affect any of the racing, at least not that I see. Also, looks like Lucas Lodato is finally going around Jorge Nieva, so I think the floodgates are finally opening. Nieva's going to fall more positions as this train of what is 5 cars is going to swallow up that second green car line.
Castells and Ahmad are close behind, so yeah, if he's this slow, surely he's going to have a tough time trying to hold them back. And as soon as one goes by in this set of corners, it's going to, like you said, be floodgates. Everybody's going to try and rush through and freight train him. Looking at it up through Sheen, I didn't think he was going to seriously try that. Castells backs out.
Well, and I know Jorge Nieva right now is looking in the mirror saying, hey, I'm going to let you guys go. Just be respectful about it. Understand that I've got a damaged car. I'm not going to fight you, but I'm also not just going to pull off the racetrack.
Exactly. On board with Alvarez, who's also gained 4. I believe he's one of those that started without a lap time in qualifying. So is making up for that little hiccup in his race weekend here. And coming down over the crest, you can see just how blind it is as we ride on board just over his shoulder.
Small bits of elevation add up to lots of blind crests and corners here at Brands Hatch, and Jorge Nieva, that green car, going to get taken advantage of one more time. You see the nose being poked right in behind him. That's going to be Shady Ahmad looking to the inside here. He is going to have it. Like I was saying, I think that Jorge Nieva knows that he's got the injured car. He's not trying to race. He's just trying to keep up.
You say that, but he pulls a beautiful cutback here, and he goes right back past him. Timing is everything, and it seems like Ahmad doesn't have it today. He almost loses a spot to Alvarez, who tries him around the outside of Hawthorne, and they go back as they were. Ahmad's going to have to regroup.
And here he comes again. Nieva lets him have the inside this time. Oh, he barely keeps it on the track. That's going to allow also Antonio Alvarez now to go around the outside. That's typically what you don't see at turn 8, but he's going to have the inside going into turn 9. Pretty much consider it done.
Yeah, it's hard to defend on the outside of Clark here, and he finally gets through. I can't stress enough how scary it is, even going single file up through Sheen. So for him to try to make that move, that took some guts.
I completely agree. That is one of the more narrow corners on the racetrack, and it's also one of the bigger commitment corners on the racetrack. So yeah, to go too wide, you have to have coordination between the two.
Certainly. So respect shown, but I'm sure that scared both of them coming through there. And Jason Clapper, in the meantime, still hasn't managed to best Seamus Power. Yeah, I think this is the one that Jason Clapper is discovering. This is not going to be as easy as the others.
But what I think is cool here is that Seamus Power has picked up his pace. Remember, I was talking, he was doing 114s earlier. Well, he's dropped it now down to a 113.7. Identical pace to Jason Clapper behind him, so they are both reeling in Ian Haycox.
Oh, and I just noticed on the timing tower that Hugh Haycox has been passed by Oye Zamaloa. That's been happening for some time, or at least boiling up for some time. And there you can see the change in order. So Oye's up to 5th. I think Hugh had a mistake in turn 1.
Remember, we saw him drive off there in turn 1 earlier in the race. Well, it's a pretty much deja vu. Exact same example. Watch the yellow car go all the way off into the gravel. Ooh. Zamaloa gives him enough room to get back onto the racetrack, but makes the pass.
Hugh's been sideways a couple times in this race now, and this time it bit him as Jason Clapper also using every bit of the track here, trying to extend this circuit and find some speed to get by Seamus Power. Doesn't work quite this time.
Down one of the short shoot straightaways here. Head off into turn number 5, sweeping right-hander, and I really feel like Jason has been faster on the second half of this racetrack. Watch him really close this in.
Unfortunately, this is a tough place to try and overtake this second half, so he's going to have to get a little bit trickier, just retain that gap up to Seamus Power onto the first half of the track. Let's see if he can do it out of Sterling's as he continues to really stay close this time. He's about a car length and a half behind. This is what he needs. He could have a good shot into turn 1.
Yeah, he's right there. It's a very short straightaway. Does he show the nose here into turn 1? Yes. He is side by side, out breaks him. He's gonna be in front of Seamus Power by they hit the exit of turn 1. Consider it done.
For all the time that it took for him to make that happen, that was a lot less dramatic than I expected.
Yeah, Yeah, it was pretty straightforward, but I'm looking at the lap counter. We're just past halfway. We've got about 2.5 seconds up the road to Ian Haycock. So I'm wondering how quick he can hunt him down.
I had genuinely lost track of how far into this race we were, so it's kind of shocking that we still have so much to go. And Juho Raina is still about 2 seconds ahead here. Kimmo Viekainen needs to pick up the pace, but as we've seen in the past, sometimes there can be an ebb and a flow between the pace of cars depending on the setup.
The other thing that I'm going to check on right now is how close we are to the lap traffic, and I see Juho Raina. He's about 3 or 4 turns away from the back of the field, so I'm going to expect maybe another couple, maybe 3 or 4 laps before that's going to be a factor.
Indeed, and as we check back in on Miguel Moreland, second to last on the field right now. Gallus is actually still running, so he must have either gotten repairs or had figured out how to drive the car with whatever damage that he has. Moreland's chasing on Cam Porter, who hasn't, I think, had the day that he quite wanted out here. Usually, I feel like we see Cam Porter maybe a little bit high up the order.
We do. Not necessarily the day that he was hoping for, I would say, but I do say this is a split strength of field race, so
yeah.
He is in the top split. So I think, honestly, he's probably happy to be here.
Yeah, this is a steep one here today. There's some very talented drivers out there. You think about Gernot Friesche, who I just saw disappear on my timing tower. Oh, no. I think he may have had a serious problem. We'll see if we can spool up a replay here. And that may have been a technical issue, actually, because I found the replay on my own. And
no, he hit the wall, unfortunately. You were just talking about this turn here, Joe. I believe it's Sheens. Well, he just got wide on exit there, a little bit of grass, and then it came back driver's right, and he impacted the wall.
I thought maybe that looked like the steering just kept turned right, though. See, I don't think he got loose.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, he did hit the wall, but because of why he hit the wall, an unknown mystery.
Yeah, so that is only our second DNF, actually, out of 24 cars. So the attrition rate is not usually as high as you tend to see here at Brands Hatch. It gobbles up cars. It is so tough. But like we said, top split, some really extreme talent that we've had come out competing today. Chris Roberts now trying to see if he can overtake Nieva, but they're going to get one spot for free. Shady Ahmad, you just saw there disappear from the screen.
Unfortunate. Looks like it's going to be another retirement. So now a few cars. Chris Roberts here in the 17th place, giving chase to Jorge Nieva. And this is just a bad day for Mr. Nieva out here. What are you doing basically at this point in the race, Joe, when you don't have any fight in the car?
Yeah, I know. Well, and that's why I'm kind of wondering, maybe he just didn't realize how bad the damage is I feel like it probably would have behooved him to try and come in and get a couple repairs on the car to see if it'll pick up the pace, because right now it just doesn't seem like it's got it. As we go back to Moreland in the meantime, Porter versus Moreland now for 19th place. They gained one from two, actually, both from Shady Ahmad and Gernot Friesche.
Chase them into this roller coaster section around turn number 8 here. So much grip on that corner. It really is deceiving. You can drive it so hard into it versus turn number 9, where you really have to dance the car over the crest. Every single type of turn here at Brands Hatch.
Holy cow. Gernot Friesche's got the car repaired. He's back out. He is not retired. That car hit hard. We saw the wheels come off of it, and obviously had to take a tow. So, and I can see that he did have a disconnect, so I'm willing to bet, based on seeing that indeed it was some sort of technical glitch with his PC. Regardless, Oye Zamaloa is now actually focusing forward on Antti Lepisto. He overtook Hugh Haycox, and he's not settling down there.
Well, we've got Antti Lepisto, like you were saying, right in front of him, and they have closed it into Jack David Spickett as well. So JDS, his last lap time, a 112.8. Compare that to the two cars right here, a 112.3 and a 112.2. And hang on to it, Lepisto. Talk about driving a loose race car.
Yeah, and these Finns tend to be happy with that, honestly, as the sparks fly down Pilgrim's Drop into Hawthorne once again, but not quite close enough If they start to battle, that'll help Spigot start to pull away, because he certainly does not want to be the plug in the spigot on this one, as they've only got, let's see, about a third of the race to go.
Was that a sneaky pun you
Always. You know me by now.
You're right. I think if I was to pick a driver of the race so far in terms of moving up, it's hard to bet against Jason Clapper as we watch Miguel Moreland. He's going to try to finally get this passed on Cam Porter into turn number 2. Cam leaves him enough room, tries to do the over-under, almost has contact between the two, but now slips in behind Miguel Moreland. But I was going to point out Oye Zamaloa because he was behind Hugh Haycox for so long. Once he got around Hugh, he hunted down Antti Lepisto. And here's problems coming out of turn number 8 here. Daniel Perez Hoya, who is running right in front of Jason Clapper. And
missing a tire as it bounces off with the new damage model on these cars. They didn't have tethers on these wheels back then. I mean, he might not know that wheel's missing.
I don't know if you've ever driven a car that is spinning from an axle, but it makes horrifying sounds, Joe.
Yeah, he's trying to drive it back to pit lane. I think he's going to be severely disappointed when he gets there and can actually see the state of the car. But we go over to Jason Clapper, who has now disposed both of Seamus Power and Ian Haycox.
You were saying, can he get inside of the top 10? Well, because of a few others' misfortune, Jason Clapper up into 9th, and he's got about 2.5 seconds to go hunt down Barry West.
So here's what happened to Hoya. The BMW liveried car gets high-centered, unfortunately, and without the wheels touching the ground. One really doesn't touch the ground for a bit.
You always seem to flirt with that apex curve at turn 8, and a lot of times it gives you plenty of confidence, and then the next time you go around it, all of a sudden it snaps you around.
Back to Zamaloa once again. Still on the back of Lepisto, but they also haven't fallen off of Jack there, up in 3rd place. So this is effectively a battle for the podium here at the end. There's a lot of pressure on these drivers to try and rack up those stats. And Lepisto, currently sitting in 4th position, is on the outside looking in, but also having to watch over his shoulder.
I don't know if we saw this, but our leader's last lap way off the pace, a 1:13.50 from Juho Raina. Look at this, Kimmo Viekainen right on the back bumper. We've got a battle for the lead.
Checking to see, he just overtook some lap traffic, and I'm checking if maybe there was some more that I think there was. I think he had to deal with Cam Porter for a bit, so that has closed things up significantly. Viekainen has suddenly had a shot in the arm for his hopes of a win.
Well, and I think looking at Kimmo as a driver, he's one of the more aggressive drivers, but when he gets lost in no man's land, there's not really much he can do. All of a sudden, he's got the lead right in front of him. That's kind of going to fire him up again.
He's got that carrot dangling in front of him, and Juho Raina now has to play a little bit of defense potentially as we go back to Lepisto in the meantime. They're also coming across that lap traffic, and Spigot is going to be able to sneak by Cam Porter without being overtaken on that one. But as we see more and more of these cars come across those lapped cars, the opportunities will open up.
All those 3 need to stick their hand out the window and say thank you to Cam Porter, because he lifted off of the gas, did not interrupt this battle in probably one of the most crucial corners on the racetrack.
Very much so, and they swing back through Sterling now and on to Clearway Straight. They are nose to tail amongst them, but with very few laps left to go. I have a feeling that Lepisto is going to really have to get on top of it and have to be aggressive like you were talking about.
He has to. Just the passing opportunities have not come this race, and honestly, the sand in the hourglass is running out. We got 5.5 laps left, so you're going to have to force a mistake. You see him compress all in that turn number 2 brake zone. It's all about seeing that other car. Can you force that mistake?
So in this race so far, we've lost Konechny. Ahmad still taking repairs. Looks like Hoya is out of it. And Frisha has come back into the pits, and it looks like he's officially retired now. So I'm not sure what caused that. We do still have 20 cars racing currently out of our 24 starters. And as we've seen, they're becoming more and more of a factor. Zamaloa now hot on the heels of Antti Lepisto, up and over through Westfield Bend and then down through Dingledale. The car will grip up and then lose that grip over Sheen, and then it switches back into Sterling, finally for a left-hander.
I had no idea that was known as Dingledell. That is my new favorite section of the racetrack. We come up over turn number 9, Clark Curve here, get the power down. It actually looks like Antti Lepisto is starting to put the pressure more on Jack David Spickett than it coming from Zamaloa back here.
Honestly, one of my favorite corner names is Dingledell. But Zamaloa, coming up behind, not close enough under braking into Druids this time. Spickett, what kind of wherewithal does he have to withstand this pressure? And Seamus Power, he might have gotten past, but he wants at least one of those positions back here. He's now pressuring Haycox.
Yeah, he's caught Ian Haycox back here, going to try to see what he can do right in the tire tracks. But turn 9, not often an opportunity going into the corner. It's usually more coming out and lining up that shot into turn number 1 here. Don't think he's going to be quite close enough here to make that happen this lap.
No, he's going to need to be a little bit closer. He'll need a good exit here. I don't think he has enough of it. He'll sit behind up through Druids once again. Laps are trickling down now, down to 5 to go. So Seamus Power is going to have limited opportunities.
Got to force the mistake. Got to. Ian Haycox has been very good this race as we check on Chris Roberts going up the inside here, going to pass Jorge Nieva. I mentioned that Jorge really wasn't racing the car anymore. Well, I think he's finally found the spot that the cars are somewhat evenly paced and he can actually have some fun.
Yeah, and he's going to go around the outside of Surtees. That's hard. That just feels so off camber through that first part of the corner, and he falls back finally. And now there's Sam Ryman, one of our fellow commentators here on GSRC, has joined the fray. Can he make it up to 16th?
And you just see Nieva struggle with that car. He's just doing everything that he can to keep it on the racing surface. Sam Ryman for sure is going to want to get that 16th place position. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out.
Especially with it being so late and there's opportunities in front of Sam. He's kind of known for not being as aggressive of a driver. He'll even give positions away sometimes if he feels like a driver's quicker than him. But he seems to be faster than Nieva, and he's got just a few laps to go. So will we see the aggressive Sam Ryman finally come out?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Is like, well, Sam usually doesn't force the issue, but with only 2.5 laps left, Nieva's way off the pace. I'm sure that he's torn inside the cockpit right now.
He wants it. I know he wants it, but will he be able to take it? And we got a good battle here between Clapper and West. In fact, I think Jason just overtook Barry.
Yeah, he made up that 3 seconds quite quickly and has now grabbed that 8th place position. I don't think he's going to make up 5.5 seconds up to Kostas Zafiris, though.
Yeah, Zafiris' fastest lap is about the same as Jason, so I think we're at that stage where it'll kind of even out. It'll plateau for him. Zamaloa, though, is now very close to Lepisto, and they're starting to lose touch with Spickett a little bit here. Will Lepisto have to go from attack to defense once again?
He showed the nose into turn number 4, kind of put Lepisto off of the line, but now as we go through this fast section of the racetrack, 6 and 7, come up to turn number 8, everything kind of evens out. I call it that stiff arm length, keeping everybody at that dirty air length.
Yeah, exactly. If you can just keep them far enough back that they can't really dive on you, then maybe you can keep them far enough away from snatching that ball. But in the meantime, I can tell you that we're down to 2 laps to go, and Juho has not been able to outrun Kimmo Viekainen as we check in on Seamus Power versus Ian Haycox once again. A much better run coming up into Hawthorne. He's got the inside, but neither is willing to give way into Westfield. Finally, he finishes the pass.
Yeah, and he's got to keep it on the racetrack through this next section here, 7 and 8. We've seen a lot of incidents. Looks like he's got it calm and collected here. So Seamus Power up into that 10th place position in the number 8 car.
I got to say, I'm massively impressed with the drive that Seamus has had today with all the passes and some of them pretty gutsy. So I think he deserves a shot at drive of the race out there. As Jack David Spickett here is trying to give his own drive of the race. He was shocked himself that he started from 3rd. Will he be even more shocked if he can finish on the podium today?
having a terrific race himself. And you were talking about Seamus Power as Juho Raina comes along the start-finish line. He's going to collect the white flag, so 1 lap to go. But something I noticed from Seamus today, Joe, every single battle, they were leaving room for each other. Incredible, respectful racing.
And that's what I love about this league, is that the drivers know each other well. It's practically a league race since it's kind of a close-knit community. And they want to show that respect to one another, as Juho is going to put a lap on Jorge Nieva, who has not been passed by Sam Ryman yet. In fact, I think he pulled slightly away, so there must have been a mistake out of Sam. Looking here from within the cockpit at Juho Raina, Viekainen within 0.4 of a second, and it's been this way for many laps. All he has to do is just do this one more time, and he's far enough away to take the win.
Yeah, but this is an incredibly fast section of the racetrack. Just don't jump over these curbs too much. Do everything that you've been doing for the previous 29 laps.
Easier said than done, I believe. Chris Roberts is going to be the next one in front of him. Is Roberts going to let him through? As we got a car off course, that's Castellas with an issue. I think that's going to lose him positions right here at the end, letting the leader through. There goes Juho Raina. He is going to go from lights to flag for the win today.
Congratulations, Mr. Raina. Fantastic race from Kimmo Viekainen, and Jack David Spickett with that surprise qualifying effort will spray the virtual champagne in third.
So this is going to be, I think, the third ever win for Juho Raina. I'll double check on the stats. Might be the third or fourth, but he has certainly been collecting them lately. Could this be even a championship run for him, as Jason Clapper is now coming around to gather up in 8th place. And again, the call goes out. We've said this plenty of times before. Jason, come chat with us post-race. We want to know the reason you aren't qualifying, because clearly the pace is there, and also the racecraft.
I agree with you, Joe. I think that depending on the racetrack, Jason Clapper is one of our fastest competitors. And not only that, but he races clean and he knows how to overtake. It would be something else to see him start at the front.
So only 13 drivers going to finish all 30 of our laps today. Alvarez going to be the last of them, which is going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. So stick around. Welcome back to Brands Hatch. Round 4 of the Sunday Grand Prix Series sees Juho Raina collect another victory. And in the championship, that could be valuable for him. He beat Kimmo Viekainen, who is our points leader. So he's going to start to gain on him. And Jack David Spickett, who we were talking about, was surprised at his qualifying pace. Well, turns out this is a home circuit for him, so he is ecstatic having taken a podium here. Antti Lepisto finished in 4th, with Oye Zamaloa winding up in 5th position. Hugh Haycox fell off of Oye after that pass and wound up 6th today. Kostas Zafiris, a quiet one for 7th, as Jason Clapper was definitely not quiet, climbing through the order to finish 8th after starting 20th. Barry West was P9, and Seamus Power also went from 17th to 10th.
Then we have Ian Haycox back here in the 11th place position. Lucas Lodato in 12th. And hey, shout out to Antonio Alvarez. May not be the biggest mover, but plus 9 positions to finish up in 13th. A great drive for Antonio. Chris Roberts is going to be finishing in 14th. Jorge Nieva with that damage on the car back in 15th. Sam Ryman 16th. Miguel Moreland in 17th. Cam Porter in 18th. And then that brings the car first. 1 lap down. Philippe Castellas in 19th. Daniel Gallus back here in 20th. And he was actually the last car to see the checkered flag. The remaining names here, unfortunately, did not finish the race.
But Kimmo Viekainen managed to finish this one. However, he was just shy by about 0.4 of a second of taking the win. Let's have a chat with him and see how he feels about trying to chase down Juho Raina on this one. As there we go, we've now got him in there. And Juho, this was a fun one to watch, but it looked like you were always just kind of tantalizingly close to catching up to Juho, but never quite there.
Yeah, he got the pace today. And I caught him on the last laps because of one of the lapper caused some traffic there, and I didn't want to do any stupid things. And I enjoyed the racing today. It's pretty hard track because you are on the edge all the time, and little mistakes and you're gone.
And let's start at the beginning of the race, though. You had a very good run off the line in comparison to Juho. We're round the outside. Did you think you could get it done, or did you feel like, this isn't going to work?
I tried. Of course, I want to be on the lead, but he got the inside, and I didn't want to do any stupid things there also. So
I know
I had to follow him.
I know it's early in the season. You've mentioned now not wanting to throw things away there and wanting to collect the results. You came into this one the points leader, and I think you still are, I believe. Are you thinking about that sort of stuff? Is this something where you've got a good opportunity in your hands, so you're trying to play the long game?
Of course, I know the situation on the championship, but I have always been more of a thinker than doer here, so I don't want to do any stupid things. Not to mention the championship, but also on the racing every day. Every day, I don't want to be the guy who sends it and is the somehow stupid guy there on the track, but. Of course, I think the championship, and also Juho is one of my biggest rivals, and I want to overtake him, but also I want to race hard and clear.
Well, I don't think you have to worry. You've always been a pretty smart driver from our perspective, and congratulations on a podium today.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
That was Kimmo Viekainen, 2nd place, and looks like our winner has showed up. Joey has caught up with Juho Raina.
Juho Raina, congratulations on a very dominating day today.
Yeah, thanks. Not sure how dominating that really was, but I'm happy.
Well, I would consider pole position leading every single lap, and I'm checking here. It doesn't look like you snagged fast lap, but you looked like you were in control of the whole race. The only thing that brought Kimmo up to you was maybe some lap traffic?
Yeah, to be honest, yes. I tried to really control the cab. I noticed pretty early on that I can put more time between me and Kimmo if I don't push that hard even. Just trying to avoid mistakes and make it to the end, because it's a really punishing track if you make a even smallest mistake. But I think I catched Cam at one point. I tried not to be too aggressive, but it kind of bit me. I lost like half a second and a half or something. But no harm done, so it's fine.
You mentioned how on edge you are pretty much around this entire place. What is it? Do you just click with this circuit? Did you put in a ton of practice time? What makes you so fast here?
I just practiced a lot. I was like nowhere on Wednesday and Thursday, and then I made some adjustment to the setup and it started to click. I tried to run the car too low initially, but when I got the car to the window, it started to click, and it was easier to start actually like practicing the track and find more time.
Well, there you go, kids. It's all about the practice time. The more practice time you log, the more confident you are and the faster you get. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, Juho?
I want to thank my girlfriend for putting up with all the practice.
That is a great one. Shout out to Mrs. Reina over there. But Juho Reina collecting a checkered flag, first place here for the number 7 car.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Well, Joey getting the two of them hitched up a little bit early, I guess. But we got one more to talk to. Barry West with an excellent race. We didn't talk about him a whole lot. We saw him a little bit. But Barry, you had a 6th place at Suzuka, a 9th place here. This is some incredible performances this season.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep, we got you.
Yeah, it's just coming together. It's a bit more practice, I suppose, and just trying not to make so many mistakes. But yeah, it's coming along. And this, I got to thank Antti Lepesto for the setup, because it was such a good setup. It's a really old one as well, so it's it gave me confidence. Early on in the week, I was losing it in Hawthorns. The back was slapping with less downforce. So this one's got more downforce, but faster time. So I was a bit vulnerable sometimes, but it was quite a lonely race really until Jason caught me. And the race before, we had a great little tussle at the end, and it was too much to lose to go toe-to-toe with him this time. Pity, really. I think he ought to start qualifying, and then we can have some proper battles.
Exactly. I mean, you even qualified 11th out here. What has turned around? We got so used to you being, in these top splits, but usually down towards the lower end. Now you're a proper mid-pack driver with some fantastic results. I mean, what has changed since we last talked to you?
I don't know. I just seemed to make a mistake early on in the race, and we'll get. I mean, I had a good one at Aragon last season, and I think Shady Tummy ran. He's my teammate this year as well. So that was looking promising, but it just something always seems to get in the way, whether it's me or being too cautious or not. But because I changed this setup, I've got a lot more confidence, and I think that's what it's all about, really. I mean, I can probably push it further. I did the fastest lap I've done around here in the race, so and that was trying to get away from Jason. So yeah, it was. I can use more of the track. I suppose there's always room for improvement in there, but sorry if my accent sounds a bit funny, because I've lost a front tooth this week, so I can't say F's very well.
Well, yeah. I can understand you fine, thankfully. How do you feel heading off to Hockenheim, leaving home soil? We're going to be going. That'll actually be the outer layout, so a super fast track, that next one.
Yeah. It's the tracks I don't like. I seem to lose too much time in the slow corners where you lose the aero. That's where I have problems. But I think recently I've changed the rig a bit, and I can feel a bit more on the front end. So hopefully that'll be good. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, congratulations, a top 10 to add to your stats. Hopefully we'll get to chat with you over in Germany.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Joe. Cheers, Em.
So Barry West, I guess off to go see the dentist in a little bit. We got one more. It looks like Joey has caught up with Cam Porter, who is a bit up and down today.
Hey, Cam, how's it going today? You finished in 18th spot. I noticed a little spin in turn 1 early on. How was it for you?
That was not the race I wanted today. You know, coming into the race, I thought if I can't be fast, I can at least be safe. And I wasn't either one of those things. So, you know, had a bunch of car contacts. Not a bunch, well, 3 or 4. One of them was a really big netcode contact with Antonio and Alvarez. Our cars were pretty far apart, actually. I kind of made my car a little twitchy, and he was able to pass me on the outside. But and then later, I just had a solo spin on my own, and I just kind of lost steam after that. I was keeping up with Chris and like Samuel Raymond at first, and that was pretty fun. And then after that, I was just kind of by myself for the rest of the race.
We've heard a couple of the competitors talk about how difficult this racing circuit is, Brands Hatch, and how you have to be on the limit every single turn, every single lap. What was it like for you? Is that the same kind of situation where you're having to attack the racetrack, or are you kind of going a little bit more reserved in it? How do you approach Brands Hatch?
This is not one of my better tracks, that's for sure. You know, I keep saying, you know, there's no track I don't like, but yeah, this is not one I historically do well at. And I realize that I can push the car harder than I actually do. You know, I just, you know, I struggle the high downforce cars to push it as hard as you can. And, you know, I end up driving too conservatively. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm significantly slower than the leaders. But, you know, I really enjoy driving this car. And I'm just going to continue to do it. Hopefully, you know, do it a little more safely.
Well, if you don't get along with Brands Hatch too well, what about Hockenheim Ring next week?
Unfortunately, I'm traveling next week, so unfortunately I'm going to miss Hockenheim as well as my other historic series next weekend. But I'm going to have a nice weekend away and hopefully have fun.
Well, Cam, enjoy the vacation time next week, and thank you so much for coming out and racing with us. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I want to shout out to Juho Reina for winning the race today, and my apologies for holding him up a little bit. I know that caused him lose some time, so I'll be a little more conscientious next time.
Well, Cam Porter finishing in 18th place today in the top split here in the Strength of Field race.
And that is going to wrap us up. So we want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And a thank you to the team, Joey, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and a merchandise store. But also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. Like we said, Hockenheim is up next. It'll be Sunday, January 14th, and it'll be at a slightly different time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern, as we'll have the majors next week as well. But also be sure to check out our other broadcast, including Rolling Thunders going to Auto Club, and what is now, I guess we can call the old Auto Club at 8:15 p.m. Eastern. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.